Hey, Anna Russell here. Just a caveat, absolute geeking out on Zwift racing. I love everything about it. Commentate for Zwift Community Live and race for Saris the Pros Closet team. But this is actually an idea I got from looking at Lantern Rouge, which is a guy on YouTube who looks at sort of the tactics playing out sort of blow by blow in big Grand Tour classics type races over decades and decades, and it's really awesome and really informative. You should check it out. But I think we're getting to the point with e-racing where some cool stuff's happening with team dynamics and people actually playing the game and doing things that lead to them winning a race where it's not just raw power, which I think definitely was when I first started racing. It was just whoever could put out the most watts, but it's getting pretty tactical, and this is a cool finish to a race. It was the Racing League number 7. We're going through the RGV course. As you can see in the women's race, this is where it sort of gets interesting. There's a front group of about 9 riders, 4 of which are Saris the Pros Closet. They're in the green and the yellow. And then you've got 2 ATP riders, 1 Finesse and 1 Revo. So this competition is really between the Saris the Pros Closet, Finesse and ATP. They're top of the table and they had very few points between them. So this was a really important race for Saris to move up the rankings and get as many points as they could on the finish. So this is an interesting finish as well, because you've got some sprinters who like Annabelle, who's very, very strong, and here's my son who wants to join in, who's extremely good sort of in that last 100 meters, a huge kick from a track background. And then you've got the Rachel Liebermans and Radfords from ATP who are better at that sort of sustained power effort. So you sort of got a good mix here to see what happens, but what I want to show you is what Saris does as team dynamics to get their rider delivered to the front. And eventually take out the race. So it's an amazing finish and very much a team dynamics and using their knowledge of Zwift and also their knowledge of actual in-life racing. So let's have a look what I'm talking about. So you see here we're coming through riding about 43k an hour. You've got the ATP riders off the front, so Lieberman and Radford really pushing pace. Now this kind of a strategy of a 1-2 punch to draw out people's sprints and draw out their power-ups is really only used when the pack is going at a high enough pace, which this group is, about 42k an hour here. So Saris is all sitting at the back at the moment. It's all fairly calm. You've only got about 1500 meters to go of this race, and we can now see Esther coming up through the field. She's pushing it up pretty high watts, 243, 330. She's pushing up and she's pulling up the Finesse Wahoo. So you can see there, she's just trying to see with a couple of little digs how much they can pull through. And this is quite interesting here. So if we have a look just here, Esther has dropped that drafting power up. It's actually pulled out the Revo rider to pull out her power up as well. And so what that means is her dropping that power up means that she can go a little bit faster, she can push through, but it also forces other people to pull their power ups maybe a little bit too early. So we'll see what happens next after this. But that was a really good strategy to get off the front and drop a power up that then makes the other riders around her drop their power up. So there you can see Esther on the front. The pace is now 48k an hour, so she's really pulling through. The Wahoo rider behind her has dropped her power up, as have 3 other riders as ATP riders. So they've dropped really, really early power ups. And then what you can see has happened is Megan Rathwell has rolled over the top of Esther. They're now going 50k an hour, so this is extremely fast. So Esther pulled through, dropped her power up, made all of the other riders drop theirs. You've got Rathwell, who's also from Saris the Pros Closet, pulling through for the 1-2 punch, now riding at 50k an hour. You can see there the ATP riders, the Revo rider, they're all dropping their power ups, and she's really pulling it out. And now check out this little rider here in the green. This is the start of the sprint, and it's only about 150 meters, and she has not even dropped a power up yet. Everyone around her has, but you can just see her starting to go out the saddle. You can see these 10 watts per kg being dropped now here by Annabella Stoll. So there we go. All of those riders have dropped their power-ups. There you can see Annabelle has now dropped hers, just dropped it. She's absolutely pulled ahead of everybody. That was a perfect way to use a 1-2 punch at a really high-moving paced pack and a flat finish with kind of a tricky sprint, and she took out that race by a phenomenal margin. So really interesting there how you can use the team dynamics when you've got a good team in the front crew. You don't just all drop the power and get there. You have some little strategies, and that'll make it so much easier to take the win. Let me know if you like this. I'm thinking about doing this for some of the Premier League races and even some of the community ones if you see some cool strategies out there that teams are implementing. And yeah, let me know. I'm like super pumped about Zwift racing and sort of cool to see some of these dynamics coming out. So catch you later.